So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to a new interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host Hector, and tonight I'm joined by two members from the band Warhog. They're a heavy metal band from Texas. So I have two of the guitars players. So first of all, guys, how are you tonight?
We're good. We're good. How
Hang
are
in
you?
there. Yeah.
Good. So tell us, your name and what you do in the band.
Sure. I'm Scott. I'm the lead singer and one of the guitar players.
And I'm Eric, and I'm the other guitar player.
Awesome. So, Warhog, you guys started like 5 years ago, and you've been doing these concept records, and you're now all the way to the Dystopian Chronicles Volume 3, which is coming out June 27th, so
hmm
just in a few weeks. So, yeah, first of all, tell us a little bit about, Warhog, about like how you guys got together.
Sure. I'll let Eric do that. He tells the story a bit better.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, we're going back to the pandemic, COVID, right? Um, I was furloughed from my job and had basically nothing but free time on my hands. So I got a little bored and picked up my guitar and started writing some songs. Just not really expecting to do anything with it, just noodling, trying to keep myself from going insane. And made a couple, I would say, loose song structure type songs and sent them over to Scott one day. We had been in a band together for a long time, throughout our youth and into our early 20s. So I sent it over him just to get a vibe check and see what he thought. And he thought it was cool. And next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, do you mind if I put some vocals on this? This is pretty cool." And I was like, "Yeah, go for it." Next thing you know, we have two or three songs kind of working just for fun. And we started talking about what the songs would be about and all this, basically what direction we'd go for. And next thing you know, we're like, "Wow, are we really doing this?" Yep, we are. Okay, so Warhog kind of started that way. The songs from the first album, essentially, called "The Voyager," was an homage to my father who had passed away in 2019, right before COVID. Unrelated, but he was a big fan of fantasy fiction like Conan and that kind of stuff. So definitely, the barbarian theme of "Call of the Voyager" is kind of a homage to the stuff that he loved. And one of the guilty pleasures of growing up with him was watching all the Conan movies and stuff that I probably wasn't old enough to watch. So yeah, that's kind of how we got started.
Awesome. So, when did the idea of doing like this three-part trilogy record come about?
So it's kind of, it came about probably a year after we had put together Call of the Voyager. So what was funny was, as Eric was writing stuff, I was writing stuff, and we're collaborating on some songs and realizing that, I mean, I had not written probably a real song for maybe 10 years or so, until Eric and I started working on some of the stuff that would become that Call of the Voyager album. And when that whole process started, got the juices flowing, we both were just started to write and write and write, and we collaborated on some stuff. We just wrote other things. And what ended up happening was there were songs that had been written that didn't fit with the construct of the concept album that we decided to put together. We had put together 4 or 5 songs that seemed to be telling a story, and then we had 2 or 3 other songs that didn't really fit in, and we weren't sure what to do with them. And so
Right.
we had a discussion. It was like, well, let's finish this story. Let's flesh this out, and let's put all this other stuff just in a folder. We'll come back to it when we're done. And so in a way, the Dystopian Chronicles material was already being written while we were working on the first album. And uh when we released it, we kind of did it all at once. We engaged, a PR agent after the fact and like didn't really understand that whole thing. And we kind of just were like, oh, okay, well, we released our album with no singles and no lead up, and now we're just kind of sitting here with nothing until we decide to release something else. And when we got around to working on the second album, which really was written and ready to record by the time Voyager came out, like the way that Eric and I worked on it and developed it while Eric was recording all of the drums with our drummer at the time, Ben, I was finishing all of the demos for what could have been the Dystopian Chronicles, the album. And when we had it, we decided, let's not do a full album. Let's break it up into 3 pieces so that we have something to release and something to promote and something to go out there and play. And then every 3 or 4 months, we could release another part of it and have something to kind of carry us forward momentum wise so that we weren't losing people's attention. It seemed to be the best way to do it was just to keep a steady stream of content coming out. And since we had it kind of in the hopper or, like in the pipeline, it just seemed to make the most sense. And then, our idea was just to like, oh, we'll just make it a trilogy and we'll pretend that it all kind of goes together. And it all kind of does thematically. But it just seemed also very much what we do anyway as a band of kind of like, some high concept stuff and, it's all fantasy and imagination. And it seemed to fit into kind of our framework. So, and then there was also a little bit of like a personnel change when our drummer Ben that started the band with us, in probably the summer of 2023, he decided to leave the band due to a knee injury. And so we had to kind of put some stuff on hold and get a new drummer. And so that even helped the process because rather than Robert having to learn 12 songs all at once, he could just learn 4 and then go and record them. And then we can release an EP. And then he could start learning the next 4 and then go record them and we can release an EP, So it all worked out really well. I think it just worked out about 8 months later than I would have preferred, but it's great to finally have all 3 of them done. And we're about to release part 3. And I'm so happy that kind of phase of material is about to be wrapped up and out there, and we can say now let's move on to the next thing, because it's been I love this material, but I want people to hear it. I want like some of these songs now are like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We've been listening to them for like 3 years, so they're old hat. Now, like we're excited to write new stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
in a way, it's like 3 mini albums.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're eventually going to condense them all online into one album. Like we've done the EPs, but at a certain point we already know that they'll kind of disappear as separate entities and we'll just put them all together as, someday you'll go on Spotify, we'll have 2 albums. It'll be the Call of the Voyager and the Dystopian Chronicles. It won't be 3 EPs. It'll just be the 2 albums. So
we're already doing probably going to do some physical media for the first time, and we're just going to throw all 3 of them onto one CD and just package it all together.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the story, is there like characters? Tell me a little bit about the story.
So Dystopian Chronicles is like a collection of stories. Call of the Voyager is definitely one cohesive story, start to finish. And then, like to Scott's point, we had kind of all these like leftover, I don't want to call them leftover, but alternative songs that just didn't fit the narrative of Call of the Voyager. So kind of what we did was we recognized a theme in the songs that we had already started of kind of like the future that we thought we were going to have, you know, the future we might still have, like stories. I mean,
This is
loosely based
bleak.
on sci-fi, and then honestly stuff with like our current political climate, and I mean
The way
just
the
a little bit
environment is
dark.
going,
Yeah, just
like
I mean, we have one song called "Hunt of the Cybertooth" that I wrote that's a crowd favorite, but it's literally about a cybernetic tiger that hunts criminals at night, kind of like the Purge. I mean, so that's an outlandish, fun, crazy story. But then we also have, you know, Stewards of a Broken World, which is our single that's about to come out on the 28th with the release of the album. That's essentially, again, a really hot take on the current political climate and the world in general, and kind of what we're leaving behind for our children, and how honestly a lot of our generation just doesn't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad but true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the new album starts with Unleash the Beast. So
Yes.
about Unleash the Beast.
So Unleash the Beast, that one, I don't want to get too much into it, but that's actually I would say an old song that I wrote back in like 2010, that didn't have lyrics. It had a theme, and, you know, it was basically an instrumental. And when we started writing this album, I was like, ooh, I'm going to resurrect this song, and we're going to make it happen. But the song itself is essentially kind of like I want to say like a tie to the book of Revelation, and like, you know, the prophecy of the fall of Babylon and how it relates to our current world, and, you know, politics, and, you know, the end is near, that kind of stuff. So the four horsemen, all that good stuff. So it's definitely a take on where we're at in politics, for sure.
So you and Scott both write lyrics. So some songs are Scott's, some songs are Eric's.
Yes.
What's the main difference of like a Scott song to an Eric song?
Scott songs are
singable.
They're singable, definitely. Scott being the singer, I mean, I can sing too, just not near as good. But I tend to write more complicated riffs and don't think about what Scott is going to sing.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I package something up and send it to him, he does have to Scottify it per se, to make sure that it's something we could pull off live, or if we're not going to play it live, it doesn't really matter. But typically, you know, I would say my style is definitely more like I tap more into like the groove metal, and like I would say more like darker stuff like Nevermore, or like, you know, those kinds of genres. And Scott's definitely more of the power metal guy. So we love all forms of metal, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is make something that appeals to all audiences across metal. So we try not to put too many labels on ourselves, but I think that's the main difference.
Yeah, and also too, like as Eric mentioned earlier, like we've played in bands before, so Eric and I are very, we don't necessarily write like one another, but we kind of can. But also, I think we're not real precious about stuff. So like, yeah, Eric tends to write music first and then put lyrics to it, where I tend to craft the two things together, because I'm thinking I've got to sing this and play it. So, you can listen to a song like Unleash the Beast, and there's a lot of guitar stuff going on underneath the vocals, and I would never do that to myself. So,
Right.
that's a good way to kind of, I think, really just underneath the what's going on is the structure. That's really kind of just the basic difference between me and Eric. We
Yeah.
write similar stuff. We write about the same kind of topics.
Yeah.
And yeah, he'll write stuff and I'll be like, I would never, that would never come out of my mouth like that. And
Sure.
when I'm 2 beers into my evening or 3 beers into my evening, and I've got to get up and do this in front of 40 people, what's the word per, per beat kind of thing that I've got to figure out? Like, let's change these 8 words to forwards and say this just a little bit differently. You know, sometimes I'll do like little
Yeah.
punch ups like that, but you know, it's
And to kind of go to what Scott says about us not being precious about what we write. I mean, a lot of times too, we get halfway through a song and maybe bounce it to the other person and say, "Hey,
to finish.
I need help with this verse, or help me find something for this chorus," and and leave it open to interpretation. And I mean, so we don't like get territorial about what songs we write or how we write them. It's definitely a collaboration.
Well, that seems like a good way to write and not let like egos clash. So
right,
So
we're not in our 20s anymore. So
yeah. So is there a favorite song from this series of albums that you love to play?
Oh yeah, there a lot of them are super fun to play, and we're actually playing next weekend. We've got a show, and I think we've structured the whole set list to be all Dystopian Chronicles material for the first time. And even just the other night at practice, I was remarking like how good they're starting to sound now that we've been playing them a bunch.
Mhm.
But I mean, Cybertooth is so much fun to play.
Yeah.
Emperor is a lot of fun to play. Emperor sounds really good now. That we've been playing it a bunch.
Yeah.
Unleash the Beast is a lot of fun. I mean, it's so fast and kind of not fast, but just like driving and loud.
Yeah.
And I'm screaming that like through that whole song. It's fun. Stewards of a Broken World has been really fun to learn and play. So yeah, there's a couple off of each EP that I've really enjoyed. There's a couple songs that we've realized we hate playing. You know, like
Yeah.
we like Artificial Echoes is like the first track, or maybe it's the second track off of
EP2.
EP2.
Right?
Yeah, and I was like really excited to learn it because I enjoyed writing it, recording it, and there's some fun guitar stuff in there. And then we played it a couple times, and I was like, man, if we never do this one again, I won't feel bad. So that's kind of what's fun too about me and Eric writing songs is, you know, we could go tit for tat and be like, well, we played one of yours and now we got to play one of mine, and 8 songs per set, and there's 4 Eric songs and 4 Scott songs. But like I hate my own songs sometimes, and I'm like we don't go into it and go, well, you know, this whole set is all Eric songs. I don't get weird about it. I mean, we've never talked really about it, but I know that doesn't happen. So
at the end of the day, it's about we're definitely trying to like be memorable and enjoyable.
Yeah.
And
if we think we're putting a good set together, that's all we care about.
Yeah, that's all that matters. So yeah, like you said, I think he nailed all the ones that are, I would say, fun for us, and then crowd favorites too. I mean, the first time we played Hunt of the Cybertooth, I had like 3 or 4 people come to us right after we got off the stage and be like, bro, what was that first song? Y'all have to play that every time. So now we do.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that maybe the song that Scott hates, people are like, don't do it.
You never know, right?
Yeah. You know, if people like it, we'll play it. But you know, for us, we're kind of quick to just play something, try it out, move on, and just, you know, worry about what sounds the best and what we sound nice and tight on and confident, and you know, because if we're doing that, then people are enjoying the show, you know.
That's the most important thing. And
it is.
Listening to your music, I could tell that it's like tongue in cheek. It's not that serious. Even though you're talking serious topics, you're looking at it with a little bit of like sense of humor.
Some of it, yeah. You know, I think some of it, yeah. Some of it it does get a little serious, which is fine too. But yeah, you know, it doesn't have to be. I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're trying to entertain,
and it's nice to have an escape, right?
Yeah,
we're getting drowned with, you know, news and stuff. Like, it's nice to pretend that you're in a barbarian world, or that, you know, there's a cybernetic tiger, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you need that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus, I saw Scott's shirt. So he has marble. If he had that means he likes all gloomy stuff.
Right.
But
No, I love all the good stuff. I love all the fun stuff. I mean, what all our like our Warhog song, about the guy that that's basically just a big cartoon and the Clockwork Man. I mean, we have a lot of fun stuff that people enjoy. It's okay to get serious in a couple tunes, but
Yeah.
they're out there.
I mean, we're metal. At the end of the day, we got to have a few doom and gloom metal songs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
of course, so let's start. Let's show the artwork so we can talk a little bit about the artwork for the newer album.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks. So here's the artwork. So tell us about what you guys were going for with this one.
So an old friend of mine is a dude named Matthew Warlick who lives here in town. He and I met in high school, back in the 90s. And when we put together our first album and we're getting ready to release Call the Voyager, Eric and I started looking at some artists and we had some folks that were working on some ideas. And I don't think album art was a thing that Matt did, but I reached out to him and talked to him about it, and he seemed really game. And he did the artwork for Call of the Voyager, and we loved it. It's great. It kind of captures what we were looking for, a kind of a epic fantasy thing. It's hand drawn. It's got that comic book kind of look. So just like our music, you can take it seriously, but know that there's like an edge of not seriousness to it, right? And when it came time to get this EP ready, we knew we wanted to put together artwork that would then take the place of all the other EPs. And we had done like some AI stuff and tweaked it on our own. And Eric and I are not terrible with kind of Photoshop and digital graphics and stuff on our own, but we knew at the end of the day, whatever EP3 was going to be also EP1 and EP2 kind of retroactively. And so I reached out to Matt again and said, hey, do you have time to do another album cover for us? And he said, yeah, I do. It was actually kind of really perfect because whatever he had been working on had just finished and he could just jump right to it. So I sent him the whole record. I sent him not only just EP3, but I think I sent him EP1 and 2 as well. So he could kind of listen to all of it and knew what it was all about. And so he understood this kind of like future world dystopia kind of, breakdown of society kind of vibe that we were going for. As well as what we have planned next. And he kind of came up with this idea of, a city, an abandoned city in darkness, right? Like this satellite dish, this cloaked figure. And it just kind of hit all the spots that I thought were like very vibey and captured this mood. And, it's a darker collection of music. It's a darker piece of art. It's mysterious. And I just loved it. And I think it turned out really well. But yeah, it's all done by Matthew Warlick and
yeah, no, exactly.
It's rad.
The cloaked figure is more or less kind of actually, I would say, a tie to the sorceress that's on the cover of our first album.
Yeah.
Right. And then to Scott's point, the satellite dish and the number on it are essentially, I would say, Easter eggs for our next EP that we're going to put out, or our next single that we're going to put out sometime in the next 6 months. That originally it was going to be a part of the Dystopian Chronicles, but we decided that it should be its own release. So the art kind of ties to that, and there's actually a 17-second track at the very end of EP3 that is essentially an unknown transmission that essentially is being received by this satellite dish that is essentially tied to that next song that we're going to put out.
Interesting. And that was actually in the promo that I got sent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't say, I'm like, is this a song? I'm like, what the fuck?
So
Yeah.
so okay, so there was this kind of weird, just it was very serendipitous, but
Yeah.
when I ran the full runtime for the Dystopian Chronicles, it was 17 seconds shorter than the Call of the Voyager. And I just told Eric, I was like, we should just do like some weird sort of radio transmission for 17 seconds and let that be like the outro of the record. And you could like hint at our next EP. And so he threw that together so that both those albums, like when you listen to them as full albums, they're the exact same duration runtime. Even though they have nothing really to do with each other. I just liked the idea that they were both like 74 minutes long exactly, or whatever it ends up being, but it's the same runtime of both things. So
yeah, you couldn't help it. You have to have that.
Yeah.
That ending marble, that ending scene.
Yeah. Well, that's our first record is real cinematic, and it's got an orchestral intro. It's got an interlude kind of towards the 2/3 point, and then it's got an instrumental outro. And Dystopian Chronicles, the first EP, has like an instrumental intro. And so I liked the idea that we got to do a little bit of something at the very end of this one to kind of keep that theme going.
Yeah, and the artwork is pretty cool. So when you release the Dystopian as a full album, that will be the artwork.
That's it. Yeah. And it won't say 3, it'll just be the Dystopian Chronicles across the bottom. So
yeah. It's because I saw the artwork for the other ones, and yes, I think Volume 3 is the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good call. So yeah, that's a good way. So when are you planning to releasing them as a whole album? Is that going to be this year or next year?
I think we'll just give it a year, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so end of June 2026, I'll go into our distribution site and like pull all the different EPs out of streaming, and then just have them all be under one album, and it'll just, so you'll go on later and see, oh, here's what Warhog has. They've got Call of the Voyager, and then they have this other album called Dystopian Chronicles, and
a couple singles.
Yeah.
And will they all be like digital, or at some point where there'll be some physical merch for?
We're doing physical merch right now. I actually have the project open, and I'm loading up the audio files to get CDs pressed, mostly so we have something to sell at shows. But yes, ultimately we would love to have these be physical CDs that people can buy. I'd love to have them pressed on vinyl, but they're so damn long that each one ends up being 4 sides. So we can't just do like an A and a B. We have to have A, B, C, and D vinyl, and that becomes expensive. And it's hard to get, 50 copies made when each copy is 2 records, and they each it's like, oh, these are $75 a piece for us to get these things made. Like, I don't know that we're dragging these to a bar in downtown Dallas every weekend to try and sell them.
We've talked about doing like a limited run, maybe like on EP3 on vinyl, just to see how it does.
Yeah.
But because we had some interest on vinyl before, and then when we really started knocking on the door of getting it made, the real interest kind of
died off.
I think if we had them honest though, and we were have them at shows, I think we'd move them. But it's like that initial investment. We're looking at a couple of places that do like on-demand vinyl now, because that's a new thing, which is awesome.
That way you don't you're doing a whole lot of prints, and just when someone pays, that makes total.
I have like 10 on hand, and if they do good, we get 10 more, etc.
The place we were looking at, I mean, we would have had to have
like a minimum
picked up like 100 copies, and it was like, it was like buying a car, the cost of it. I was like, oh gosh, this is thousands of dollars. Like, and at the time we were like, Ben had just quit the band. We didn't have a drummer. We weren't booking shows. And I was like, this is a terrible time to be like investing in vinyl. Like, do we even know that we're going to be a band in 6 months? Like, I don't want a box of these records sitting in my garage, like warping in the heat, So
Yeah.
we might do it again. We'll see. But, for right now, I think we'll probably just get some CDs made and go from there.
Awesome. So you said you were playing this weekend, no, the weekend of the 20th, right?
Yeah, we're playing the 21st.
Where are you guys playing the 21st?
We're playing at this bar called Tees in Dallas. It's actually in North Dallas. And we played there before. They've got a great stage and great sound system and lights and stuff. And it's the kind of place where you get pizza and beers and go watch bands play. It'll be fun.
It's a good draw because it's in the burbs, and it's going to get a lot of what I would call our recluse family type fans that don't want to venture into downtown.
Yeah.
But the guy that runs the place has invested a whole lot in his stage and his sound system. So I mean, you're getting a downtown venue that's basically in the burbs. It's
in a shopping center, it's like it's good.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. And we're playing with two really good bands, Iron Jaw and the Argonaut. They're both like Argonaut's super theatrical. They have costumes and like laser guns and t-shirt cannons and stuff. They're like they take it very seriously, I think, and they put a lot of work into it. But it's tickles me so much because it's like watching the circus, man. It's like crazy. And then Iron Jaw is another band that's just really good, and they're just so tight, and they play the same kind of like, old school metal.
Traditional.
Yeah,
they're a lot of fun. So we're excited about the show.
Awesome. So hopefully it'll be a good draw. And where can people follow you more, on the Instagram, or where are you most active?
Eric runs Instagram and I run Facebook. So we divide and conquer. So I think we're very active on both.
Okay.
Yeah. So, whatever, pick your poison.
Yeah, I'd say like whatever one you like more. Facebook, obviously, with the posting system, we have more conversational posts going. But, whatever we post on Facebook, I try to capture it and bring it over to Instagram. I mean, we're on TikTok, we're on Threads now, we're on Blue Sky, we're on.
We have a Patreon, which I think is neat what we're doing. We have a Patreon and it's really cheap. We basically have two tiers, and it's like one tier for people who just want to follow us and support us, and then we have another tier for people in town, because the difference is basically, I think for like $1 a month or for $2 a month, you follow us, and what we do is we give you new material every month, because Eric and I write so much all the time. We've got song after song after song that we're working on that will be
B-sides
released a year and a half from now. So we release those demos and say, here's this song. This is going to be on this EP. It's probably going to come out in 6 months, but you can hear it now. And then what we do is when we release something officially, it's a downloadable. We give it to them to download for free, right? So all of our Patreon subscribers already have the Dystopian Chronicles Volume 3. They've had it for a couple weeks, right? They were listening to it 6 months ago because we had already given them
versions,
all the demo versions of Stewards of a Broken World. They had the demos, like the original things of Hollow and Future Shock that we were listening to a year and a half ago. So like our Patreon subscribers are already listening to our next album.
Yeah.
Right. It's patreon.com/Warhog-DFW. All of our social media, all of our stuff online is Warhog-DFW. And then for the folks in town, it's the exact same thing, but we comp them door charges at our show. So like if you subscribe to our Patreon, we give you like 4 free passes to local shows per year, right? So you're paying $5 a month or whatever it is. You get all of our music way ahead of time. You get it for yourself, downloadable when it's done, and then you get to come see shows and you don't have to pay to get in. So it's a really, I feel like it's a really great value just for us to have a way to like connect with our fans and share the what we've got going on and get that music out there and get those early reactions and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patreon's good. And then of course we're on YouTube, and our music streams on every platform. So
Yeah.
we're all over the place.
You got a Bandcamp. Yeah. Everything.
And Bandcamp, yeah. Our Stewards is available right now on Bandcamp for pre-order. It actually, I think we're letting it out a week early on Bandcamp. So if you buy it now, you'll get it a week before it comes out everywhere else. But
Yeah.
Awesome. That Patreon idea, that's a really cool thing, especially for the people, the locals. That's a really interesting idea.
Thanks.
Paying homage to your fans that live right there.
Yeah, well, it's like we don't.
What do you call your fans? Your Warhoggers?
I don't know that we have a name yet. We should ask them what they call themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think at the end of the day, it's more important to have people there than to in the crowd enjoying the show, because the more folks we can get out there having a good time, the other people are having a good time as well. And I don't care if we make 10 or 50 or $100 at the door. I care that we had a crowd there that had a good time, and that the venue or the promoter calls us the next week and says, "Hey, we had a great night. When can you come back?" Like that's the win. So I feel like the Patreon is hopefully set up to help kind of facilitate that in a way.
Awesome. So Scott, Kelly, I've had I had fun, talking to the both of you. I think, did I say the wrong name? I think I said Kelly.
Oh, Eric. Scott and Eric. Yeah.
Good. All good, man.
Scott, you know what? Because I'm thinking of Scott Kelly, who's a member of Neurosis, I think.
Oh, there you go.
So Scott and Eric, I want to thank you for taking some time of your night to chat with me about everything Warhog. So before I let you go, anything you like to say to the fans before we go?
Yeah. Hey, if this is your first time coming across us, please go check us out. Please listen to our music.
Give us a follow.
Give us a follow and let us know what you think.
Let us know if you found us from here.
Yeah, like where you're listening to us from and what you think, and what you'd like to see us do next. And for all the folks that are gonna see this interview on our Facebook page later as we promote it and go back and listen to this, thanks for being fans of our music, and thanks for supporting us as long as you have. And we're excited to get this new EP out, and excited to keep moving forward with more new music that will be coming out later this year. So
great. So, and any Warhog fans that watch this video, comment down below, what do you call yourselves?
There you go. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So we can know. So again, Scott, Eric, thank you for joining. So
thank you.
First, Warhog, if you like, heavy metal, there's like progressive elements to it, but there's like different type of elements of metal. I call it heavy metal, more like metal with some prog tendencies. You can enjoy the Dystopian Chronicles. So Volume 3 will be out on the 27th of June, but other ones are already there for you to consume. So Couchers, now you know. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.